From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen, and proudly welcoming you into this Monday's edition of For the People on November the 27th, 2017. I've worked off definitely some of that turkey, but I repurposed the turkey, the stuffing, the corn, and we reused it because I want to make sure that I'm not throwing away too many of the leftovers if I couldn't give them away. And one of the things that I did was I went to the crock pot the very next day, the day after, on Friday, and I put the turkey along with the gravy and the stuffing and the corn along with a few extras. I cut up some celery, some onion, and let that just go from the morning into the evening. And then what I did was I made a lot of homemade potatoes. So I heated those up, and I dumped that right on top of the nice warmed up potatoes. And I got to tell you something, that was kind of like, without the crust, kind of like a turkey's shepherd's pie almost, but it was so tender, so succulent, so amazingly delicious. And so I'm proud of myself, but I repurposed it, and crock pots are just great. If you don't have one, you got to get yourself one. I'm telling you, it's absolutely delicious. You know, our own president, believe it or not, I know some people don't think that presidents celebrate Thanksgiving, but he has his own family, and he was trying to just enjoy himself over the weekend, but a driver decided he wanted to cut into Donald Trump's motorcade. Kind of a stupid thing to do, don't you think, with the Secret Service there? And I obviously probably wasn't a big fan, but the president was headed for his Mar-a-Lago retreat, which is there in Palm Spring. It's a Palm Beach. After spending the morning playing golf with Tiger Woods, and I think there was another notable that went out with him. But a man in a red van, long story short, attempted to cut into the motorcade, and law enforcement pulled over the vehicle where the driver made obscene gestures and screamed several explicitives. And wasn't there some lady just, 2 weeks back that was on a bicycle, and as the motorcade went past her, she gave the middle finger? Interesting. Angry driver attempting to cut into the motorcade. What do you think that the vehicle, what were they going to do? I mean, with that much firepower that the Secret Service has, I mean, it's just unbelievable. But anyways, it's somebody obviously trying to get some press for themselves and probably some good jail time. Just a stupid thing to do. A few feet away, apparently, stood a group of Trump supporters, which was great, bearing flags and signs saying, "Make America Great." So there had to have been somebody to drive into the motorcade to do that, to be able to break it up because it was annoying. You know, there's one thing about protesting peacefully, and the other thing is being something stupid, like this individual cutting into the motorcade and, you know, swearing out F words and things like this. Never happened with Obama. And if anybody deserved it, with a lot of the stupid policies that were wrought onto this administration and things that were handled very poorly, that got a lot of our diplomats killed, a lot of our military personnel killed, and caused a lot of people to go into welfare, losing their jobs, etc. We could just go on and spend the show talking about how bad Obama was, but I think you get the point. people are just ignorant, and it's the ignorance that's bringing these people out of the woodwork. Still cannot conform. These are nonconformists. There's always those elements in society. They have nothing better to do with their time and have no life, apparently. But I don't know what they thought they would do other than get some headlines. Well, there you go. They succeeded. Certainly, the president was in no danger whatsoever, or any of the Secret Service or anybody in the motorcade. It's just somebody wanted to make, and yeah, local law enforcement officials pulled them over. So it wasn't even the Secret Service, and they just went on their way. And but it was a big deal because it was in local news, and so it became national because it was the president cutting in. But unfortunately, they're going to have to block off more roads when the president comes in. And it's already an issue where they don't like it when the president comes in, where the president is there in West Palm. They don't like it because it holds up traffic. But any president that comes into town, they block off roads until the motorcade comes down. But how this motorist was able to get into the mix there or even cut into the line, they're going to have to rethink things clearly where there's no traffic, period, that's able to even be close, because that could have been dangerous. Who's to say that there wasn't a bomb or somebody with ISIS intents or, had that whole car loaded to the gill? I mean, that could be reality. So it concerns me that somebody is able to get that close to the president in a motor vehicle. And that's my takeaway as being one of the most unreported aspects of how did this motorist even get the ability to get that close. And they're not reporting on actually, what vehicle it was, where he was in the, because it could be anybody's guess. It could be the first car, it could be the middle car, it could be the back car, it could be in between. I mean, who knows how many cars back? It's always an element of surprise. And the only person that knows that, obviously, would be the president himself or anybody else that was traveling with him. But an angry driver is basically what they're chalking this off to be. Tried to cut off the motorcade. Trump's basically his position, as they're calling it, encountered a small group of protesters on Southern Boulevard, if you know where that is, waving homemade signs. Some of them said, "Don the Con Man." The Palm Beach Post reported that a few feet away stood, again, Trump supporters. So, anyways, golf excursions. Big one was Tiger Woods and enjoying his Thanksgiving, which most of us did. Other than that, and, it's not a big surprise. There's always going to be idiots out there. But again, that disconcerts me. How in the hell do they get somebody when that thing comes through? Because they come into Tampa Bay. I mean, I've been on Dale Mabry, and when they cut off the intersections, they just shut the road completely down until it's clear and out of sight. Maybe it's because MacDill Air Force Base. I don't know. That's usually where the president's coming back from or going to. But, been caught for like 30, 40 minutes until it's all said and done with all the vehicles. And it's amazing, his entourage, too, how many people actually travel with the president. It's quite a few. And then to think that the vehicles that they use actually are transported back to Washington or wherever they're going, but they use the same vehicles. Yeah, pretty neat. It's our tax dollars at work, that's for sure. This Argentina submarine, we've been following this thing for, over a week here. And searchers are encountering what they're calling gale force winds in the South Atlantic. On Sunday, Navy spokesperson held out hope that the 44 crew members may still be alive in an extreme survival situation. The ARA San Juan had only a 7-day supply, what we learned several days ago. Relatives of crew members focused on the possibility that the submarine may have been able to rise high enough in the ocean to refill its oxygen tanks at some point after its disappearance. That's why they're still out there trying to find this thing. And obviously with human life aboard, 44 souls, Argentina's official weather service ordered an alert and intense winds of between 50 and 90 kilometers per hour, with gusts in excess of 56 miles per hour. It's a lot of breaks in the water. Bad weather conditions really are adverse. Navy spokesperson Enrique Babai told the news conference, asked by a reporter about the chance that the crew may still be alive. They said there is a possibility. We've been searching for 11 days now, folks. But that does not remove the chance that they could still be in extreme survival situations. So the U.S. Navy's Undersea Rescue Command sent a ship from the port on Sunday, outlined remotely operated mini sub to be used as a rescue vehicle if San Juan is found. The ship was expected to reach the search zone for 430 kilometers off Argentina's southern coast by Monday afternoon. Still saying a prayer for these folks. God knows if they're still alive. They had a ping last week, right before the holidays, and no further conversation about that, but it's a lot of water, and if they have oxygen, they might possibly be alive. They could be in the bottom of the ocean, but God only knows. That's for sure. A tough one. The Vatican has been receiving a lot of Islamic terror press in the radical jihadist magazine called Inspire. They're releasing a poster now that calls jihadists to attack the Vatican. The poster says, "Show them the meaning of terrorism, kill them, and do not hold back with your blood. The reward is paradise, and let them know that you are from a Muslim country where mountains bow down to," according to the report. "We will not forget our revenge for every drop of blood that they have shed," the poster said, according to the International Business Times report. ISIS and related affiliates have threatened the Vatican and the Pope directly, Pope Francis. They've done this before, but this is another piece of propaganda, and now specifically a poster released around November 20th depicting the Pope being beheaded by a jihadist. Many of them say it's not surprising to see threats like this against Pope Francis and Christianity, especially during the holiday season. ISIS and its supporters know how to play the media game, and oftentimes the release of their threats to get the highest amount of attention as possible. Rita Katz, the site intelligence group director of Newsweek. To me, if ISIS could pull it off, they would, and they certainly would make a big spectacle, and they know it's a high target. They realize the Pope revered by hundreds of millions of Catholics around the world. So that would be very shock and awe, and I'm sure they'd love to pull that off, that they have a hell of a security detail, literally, at the Vatican City. And they are armed, and, by the way, they have walls. Yeah. It's interesting how Francis was so down on Trump wanting to build a wall and his big speech about building walls when he actually lives behind a wall. It's the irony. It's the irony and the leftist lunacy that even actually goes as far as Vatican City with the Pope. He has a huge security detail. They have guns. They are loaded to the gill. Are you kidding me? It's not just the Florida churches now that are loaded. You don't go to Vatican City without getting screened. They have metal detectors, bomb-sniffing dogs, the whole gamut. So they check everybody that comes in, and they want to make sure that they're safe as possible. But it's a reminder, and I've said this before, that these terrorists are determined to not only get the press that was spoke of there, but also their deal is to further the caliphate as much as they can, because they've been losing a lot of ground, and they're desperate, and they're wanting to validate their cause, and they're going to continue on bombing, hurting, slaying vehicles. This is going to be an ongoing thing, and there's going to be lone wolves, folks, here in this country. I don't know if it's going to happen during the holiday season. I hope to God not, but